All right, cool. Here's another question. Excited to answer. Yeah, I had a friend tell me that most teenagers that get into comics or animation don't have a reference point for quality. Hmm. If you're 13, 14 years old growing up now, how exactly would you determine what good quality is with what they have to choose from? It's a loaded question because I used to be 13, 14 years old and I remember the same thing. We didn't even have the internet and I didn't know what good was because I wanted to be a Disney animator one day. I knew that for sure. And I also knew I wanted to draw caricatures. But the question was, what's good? I remember that. And I remember the only artists that I was aware that I can speak to were like guys who drew portraits at the mall, but that happened randomly. It's not like I can just go. I would have to go with my family, and if I got lucky there was an artist, but majority of the times when I would ask them questions, they weren't really approachable. They just wanted to know if I wanted to get my portrait drawn or not. I met a lot of grumpy guys. Very, very rare did I meet an approachable artist who would answer my questions. Um, you know, Sometimes I feel like I wish I had. Well, I did have artists in my family, but they were not approachable either. I guess they just deemed me to be not so talented, so they really didn't pay attention to me. They wouldn't include me in conversations because I wasn't very good at the craft. My family are all artists, but you would think, like we're all family, they would help me and nurture me or help me, but they were so talented they didn't know how to explain the stuff. They just saw that I wasn't very good, so they never really included me or bothered me in conversation. Um, yeah, it's weird, but it's cool, whatever. But I remember having the same questions, and I think my life would have been different had I had that mentorship, because I think my uncles would have told me their perspective. And I'm wondering if they had told me all the artists that they loved and all the rules that they adhere by, would those have been my rules? An example, um, the Gracies, right? Those Gracies, the Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, everyone's doing the same thing in their family. Um, so you're going to be doing the same things. Everyone's going to be fighting the same way. It's family tradition. I found it interesting that he has a son named Kron Gracie, and I believe that I don't think he had that relationship with his dad where he was mentored by him. Um, he had his own ways of going about things, which I thought was very fascinating. And I saw this one video clip of him on a skateboard, and he's learning balance with skateboarding while he's trying to push his colleague. And I thought that was very fascinating how he's incorporating skateboarding with jujitsu. And I'm thinking, that's probably cool. I like that his dad didn't really give him much guidance. He just let him do his thing, which is interesting because his dad's the number one guy in the world. There's another story. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the chess genius Magnus Carlsen. There's another guy named Gary Kasparov. Might say it wrong, but Gary is like he was dominant in as a chess master for forever. He went against this kid, and he almost got he almost they tied. There was a tie, and he almost lost to a kid. And I heard of an interview where you would assume, if your kid is being mentored by the greatest chess player in the world, it just makes sense. But I guess for Magnus, he didn't like it. It wasn't for him. He didn't want to bother with it. He found his own way. I thought that was very fascinating. He just wanted to learn chess his own way, and he still is a chess master. I just thought, if it were me, I'd learn from a master so I could become a master. These guys were bold and just carved their own way in life. And I guess uh, maybe I'm lucky that I didn't have anyone to guide me, to be honest with you. maybe I just went by what I thought was cool. That's it. I just saw something that was cool and it stuck with me, and I went for it. Um, while a lot of people were telling me not to like things, they would tell me that those are the wrong things to like. That was very easy for people to do, just to tell me what how wrong I was, but nobody would nurture or talk to me about how to do things well. Funny thing is, as I was doing everything so wrong, or I was looking at the wrong things, my career flourished just fine. Everything worked out. I'll break that down a little bit more further I'll read the other line. You're an animator, so you can actually show your kids quality in terms of animation, but without a reference point like a list of must-watch movies, how do you know where even to start? Yeah, so as an animator, I actually don't tell my kids what good and bad is. I don't like doing it because I'll taint them. I'm protecting them from my influence. I don't want to do that to them because I want them to be free to like whatever they like. And part of that is me like hiding what it is I like. I don't want to do that to them because I don't want them to secretly like something. Like, yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I don't like putting drawings on my walls, or unveiling to my kids or my family what it's almost like a secret what it is I do. And I do it only to protect everybody, because I don't want my if my kids wanted to be an artist and their interests are different from mine, I don't want them to be like, oh, I'll never become an artist because I don't like the same things my dad likes. I don't want that. I want them to find themselves, and yeah, and trust your judgment. So I think a reference point of quality, I think it's not so much what I say or what someone else says. I think it's so much like look inside yourself and decide like what do you think is good, and be brave and be bold and say and stick to your guns and say I like it. All right, leads me to my next slide. To me, it boils down to taste. All taste. So I'm gonna start off with the quote. I read this years later and I was like, yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I was doing. A good teacher protects his pupil from his own influence. And that's something that I couldn't believe Bruce Lee said that. That was awesome. A teacher is never a giver of truth. Exactly it. He is a guide. A pointer to the truth that teaches students must find for sorry, a pointer to the truth that each student must find for himself, and that's exactly it. So me coveting and not showing my kids my work, I want them to trust and enjoy what they like. I, you know, I don't want them to be, sometimes they'll ask, is this good animation? I'll always say, what do you think? I like it. I like it too. I'll save my opinions for myself, but I want to keep encouraging them to be bold and just say, I like it. And it's okay if I think differently. Anyway, so that's what I think. Okay, so let's keep talking about that topic, right? Like, I know a guy who loved Crumb. He loved Crumb. I mean, he lived and breathed Crumb. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what he likes. That's what he likes. I know people who love anime. I knew people who like, paper mache and cutouts, stop motion. People who liked Barbarians, or people who only like Disney. Um, there's nothing wrong with it. If you like it, you like it. I can't speak for others. I don't know. Like, to me, I always found that fascinating. When I was younger, I was pretty bold, and I used to say everyone was doing it wrong. I'm right, but I wouldn't like to be in a world where everyone drew like me, to be honest with you. Uh, I actually like Crumb and anime. I like watching all the things that I'm not. I like it. It's actually cool because it's different from me, to be honest with you. So I'm glad there's so much variety. I guess it's equivalent to just having, if my favorite food is pizza, I wouldn't have burgers or hot dogs. I'm glad that there's a variety. So, but with that being said, let me introduce to you what I think is good, what I think is great. Um, this is my reference point of quality, and no one navigated me to these things. Only I did, and I didn't seek validation from anybody. I was bold and I just did things on my own with this weird feeling that I'm doing it wrong. But oh well. But again, no one was there to steer me in the right direction, so I just went with my gut. All right, this is my point of quality. I love Thundercats. I do. I like the designs. I don't know why. I I like the intro of the animation is just brilliant. Whoever did the intro is amazing. I like their costumes. I like Cat's Lair. I like the designs are just great. I just the sword. I've always wanted to own that sword. I might just own that sword after. I'll probably find that thing and buy it. And then the Silverhawks. There's the Copper Kid. This kid, he would whistle when he would talk to you. It's freaking amazing. He had like a disc he would throw at you. It was awesome. These It was brilliant. These were like two brilliant shows that I loved. Sebastian Kruger. I mean, Jesus. Sebastian Kruger is a great caricature artist. In my opinion, the best. He's my hands down greatest caricature artist of all time. He has it all. He has design, he has anatomy, he has exaggeration, he has a good taste of how to push things to an extreme. He can also do caricatures in different styles. He has more than one way of drawing caricatures, but he can also do crazy portraits. Look at that. And he's done lots of. He has this book called Rolling Stone, and I guess they brought him along, and he drew them. And I have the book. It's really cool, and it's all here. I mean, he actually, when he does drawings, he starts with the skull, and then he starts doing his thing. But I mean, look, he's amazing. That's Sebastian Kruger. I like his caricatures, but I just didn't like caricatures. I actually liked anatomy. When I first saw Frazetta, I was like, wait, hold on, hold on. What? There's all these little lumps and bumps, and it's just the way it's done. It's like so perplexing. Like, look how these are overlapping each other. Like, that's nuts. All these little things. That's just not whoever drew this. And I couldn't understand it when I saw it. I just knew that what I was looking at is amazing. I love Tarzan. Good display of human anatomy. It's not like like a Disney cartoon. It's my dream project. I wish I was on that thing so I can animate the hell out of him. All the anatomy and muscles that have been great. I love Art Deco. That's a recent thing. I learned a lot about my posing using Art Deco. Apparently, in the 1930s, during the big like stock market, everyone had money. They discovered the Egyptians and discovered their art. So you see a lot more triangles and things like that, like peacock feathers, and it all came from Egyptian art that they have discovered. So big fan. Norm Ferguson. I read the book of the Illusion of Life. Um, he was the first one to make characters, eyes pop out of their skull, and he made characters think, and it's brilliant what he contributed. And that stuff makes me think about like just really thinking outside the box. Now at the time, people were saying he was crazy, but that's why we have cartoons today. Then there's Ward Kimball. Uh, Everything he did was funny, had beautiful design, and he was a brilliant animator. And he didn't take himself seriously. He had fun, and that's something I always think about. Like, stuff's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have a good time. And during the making of this particular short, he played a lot of pranks on one of the animators. And there's a one shot where I guess that character is kissing the girl, and he took the guns and he's firing it. I'm not describing it well, but he played a lot of pranks. He did a lot of things, and when I was at the Disney Studios, he put his fingers on the cement and he added another finger on one of the hands. I thought that was pretty funny. And then there's Frank and Ollie. The reason why I like these two is because they Frank is a great actor. You know, he all his characters were unique. Um, he actually plugged in a lot of people that he understood. Peter, he animated Hook. That was pretty much Walt Disney during the strike. The Queen of Hearts, that was somebody he had experienced. That he was playing the piano and he saw this obnoxious lady. Baloo the Bear was based off a friend of his in World War II, who would do these little quirks, and he would plug in people he understood. So he reminds me that there's nothing wrong with plugging in people that have impacted my life. Um, and then Ali, if you ever see Prince John and Robin Hood, when I first saw that, I was like, wait, I don't know about animation when I first saw it, but that that tiger's pretty good. Like when you hear him talk, it is, yeah. It's hard to explain. I'd have to make another video on that, but that's why I like it. T.S. Sullivan, I saw this drawing and I was floored. Michelangelo's Human Anatomy, that's insane. Just look at this piece of work. It's just technically perfect. And then you got Bernini, who was the comic book artist of his time. While Michelangelo had them posing, Bernini had him in action shots. He even did stuff where like the sculptures would like touch the skin, like he would animate those folds. And Bernini was amazing. And you get Richard Scarry, brilliant. I love Richard Scarry. And I mean, this is not a very good situation for this hippo, and they're all chilling. Richard Scarry is awesome. I love Richard Scarry, and I'm a big fan of the WWF. They had like the best characters. One of them was the Bushwhackers. They had their own unique walks. I'm a big fan of walks. I like good character walks, and they had one of the best. They would even lick one brother would lick the other brother's head, and then they would do like this really funny move. But that's what they did. I'm a Todd McFarlane fan, John Byron fan. Not quite sure who this gentleman is. Joe Casada, I think that's how you say it. Beautiful. Adam Kubert. I didn't even know anything about Adam. This is the first time I've ever seen Adam Kubert. It's beautiful work. And John Buscema. That's what I like. These are my reference point for quality. And I'm sure there's a lot of artists right now looking at this, turning, be like, dude, you're crazy for liking it. But it's cool. I mean, I have a good career. Everything's worked out, and I feel validated. Like I guess it's okay to like whatever you want. And the funny thing is, when I'm at work, I actually ask other artists, "What do you like?" And they like completely different things, and I love it. In the end of the day, I guess there's a thing about feeling validated. You want to make sure you're doing it right. You want to make sure you're liking the right things that you should be liking. And I guess what I found out over the years is that it doesn't matter. You're actually free to like whatever you like. Really, the thing that matters, I guess, at work is can you follow directions, ask questions, and ask for help and be mentored and learn new skills. As for being an artist, it's cool to like whatever you want. But if you ask me what I like and what I think is right, I'm very specific and I know what it is. But that's just me, and that's what I'm sharing with you guys. The stuff that I like. It doesn't make it right, just right for me, and things worked out. Um, yeah, Hercules, Tarzan, I love it. And I guess just to go a little further with my way of thinking is I like to build on what was already done. So for me, reference points, I like history. So I like to see where we came from, why these things are important. So for me, this is how people drew. No anatomy, no perspective. Straight up symbols. No perspective. Now we have perspective. This is the Renaissance. This is like profound information. The human anatomy is not evident in these drawings. and then you get the human anatomy. This is profound to study the cadaver's human anatomy. Then you get that, and then look at the colors. It's all brown. There's no other colors. Like it's the brown period, right? Then you get Norman Rockwell who's putting blues and purples and cobalt blue. Like you look at all this. Like if you look at the faces, there's tons of colors. Look, there's a little bit of pink and red, even in that blue too. Look at all that blue there. Little strokes. Look at that. Let's go a little further. Look at the blues and yellows. A bit of greens here and there. Look at that blue right there. Huh. That's Norman Rockwell, folks. So I take from history. I like to build on it. So I will learn perspective. I will learn the human anatomy. I like being educated in that. I will put blues and purples in my drawing. I won't leave them monochromatic, you know. Frazetta did it right here. All these different colors. And that's why I gravitate towards Frazetta a lot because I'm like, yeah, exactly. He knows his anatomy, he knows his perspective, he knows his colors, he's going wild with them. Cool. Um, and I understand that there was a movement where like we got to a point where like we need to convey feeling and not all feeling has structure. I get it, you know, it's not like this might be a little too cold or, you know, like what's raw emotion? Raw emotion might not even have structure. And I understand that. But now we have a wealth of this, so much so that I think now it's time to build on top of that, you know? So where I'm at is I'm about the human anatomy, I'm about the structure, I'm about the psychology, I'm about the these all these things and I like to build on that. And I also look at this stuff because I want to get those raw emotions in my work. So that's where I'm at. Like I like to believe I'm building on these profound ideas in art history and I'm just, you know, I'm trying to go along with it and learn and see what happens with it. I do see a bunch of work that is still here, monochromatic, like in the brown period, which is fascinating to me because it's today. We have all these artists, all this education, and somehow work is still being done back in the days. Like, come on, you know, like our history is showing us that we've come a long way, and I see that. I don't know, you know, it makes you think a lot. All this technology, even AI, when it spits out work, it's all saturated. It's weird. Like, yeah, it's something to be said about the human touch, what we've done in the past, and how we can still build. And when I see the work today, I think a lot of work today lacks of what was done in the past. And so for me, I like to look in the past a lot because there's nothing, in my opinion, in the future that we're doing now that is like blowing my mind. I think it's okay. A lot of the stuff, you know, there's some okay stuff, but I'm just a fan of the past. I really enjoy this work. I mean, look, I mean that's why I don't have anything newer really because it's not for me. It's not for me. I just I'm a Norman Rockwell guy. Yeah, I'm a Frazetta guy, and I'm all these people, and I like them for for specific things. Not one man has it all. All these guys are wrapped around in this burrito that I'm constantly digesting, and it makes me me. So to end it, a good quality reference point. Trust yourself. Like what you like. Be bold in your convictions. Don't be afraid to say, I like it. Like it. And if we don't like the same things, that's totally cool. It's totally cool. And even though I said all this thing about art history, you can just totally like not agree with it. Say, hey man, that's just you. I say I make a new movement and go for it. I'm glad that we get to, you know, agree to disagree. You know, and then just it's cool. But this is just my perspective. It doesn't, again, it doesn't make it right. But I thought I answered that question. I think good quality reference points to trust yourself and protect other people from your influence. So people are free to create work and you don't create a bunch of minions of yourself. You know what I mean? All right. Leave comments. I'd be curious if anybody has any questions. See ya.